Hello, this is Witch Nikki. I'm sorry, first of all, for the background noise. The neighboring house is getting prepared to be sold. So I'm really very upset about this here. The 50 most banned books in America. I'm not upset about the article, but this is by Jennifer Martin. And November 10th, it looks like, 2022. So this is very new. I can't believe that this is happening still in America. So I hate to have the possibility of getting banned. But you know what? We live in America. This is not some war-ridden country. I have to choose my words very carefully. So I thought we would look at this here. As I scroll up, let me move my face to a different area. Up a little bit right here. Okay. I'm not going to read all that, but let's scroll up a little bit. You could pause and read, okay? I'm not going to read all of this stuff. I just want to get to the list. Sorry about the advertisements. I really don't have no control over them. Okay, here it starts with And Tango Makes Three by Justin Richardson and Peter Parnell. And Tango Makes Three. So let's read a little bit about this. The children's book is based on the real-life story of two male chinstrap penguins. So now we're going to try to control the animal kingdom as well as the humans, who formed a bond at the Central Park Zoo in New York City. After zookeepers saw the pair trying to hatch a rock as if it were an egg, they gave the penguin couple their own egg. Roy and Silo subsequently raised the chick, Tango, as their own. I got tears. The words are getting blurry because I got tears. Seriously. This book came out in 2005 and was subject to 5 bans during 2021 and 2022. Why? Ask yourself that why. Why? Have they never seen like 2 male dogs getting it together, a dog, I'm sorry, but a male dog will hump just about anything if it's not fixed and properly taken care of, just like men. Okay, I'm trying not to be so dramatic, but effing Christ, really. That reminds me. The book that should be on this list, and I'll get pissed if it isn't, the Bible. Okay. So here we go. This book came out in 2005 and was subject to 5 bans. Okay. PEN America states that the banning of a single book title could mean anywhere from 1 to hundreds of copies are pulled from libraries or classrooms in a school district. The data doesn't consider duplicate bans per district in its unique title tally, but each separate ban is counted in the overall rankings. Well, you know what? You can still buy this book online. You can buy it in libraries. I mean, in bookstores, and you could probably check it out in libraries. God forbid they ban books from our homes. What is the United States coming to? Okay. Okay. Stamped Racism, Anti-Racism, and You by Ibram X. Kendi and Jason Reynolds. I'm sorry if I don't pronounce the names right. Sorry. So, God dang it. Sorry about that. So this children's book garnered controversy. Sorry. Sometimes I get the hiccups when I talk too much. For its frank portrayals of racism. I never heard of this, but Senator Ted Cruz held up a copy of the book during a confirmation hearing of Supreme Court Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson in April 2022, as he questioned her about the views of critical race theory. Stamped has found itself subject to 5 book bannings during the last school year. I don't know what this book is about. Here we go. What do we got here? 48. This is going to be a long video if I make it through. The Infinite Moment of Us by Lorraine McCrackle. Sorry if I'm butchering it up. I never read this book. Oh, well, it does sound pretty racy. I don't think they should be having sex with teenagers, for God's sakes. How have most of us gotten born in the first damn place? By teenage parents who couldn't keep their underwears in the right place. If you ask me, skip it. Two Boys Kissing by David Levitan. Okay, maybe not in grade school, because this is encouraging not just two boys to be kissing, but anybody to be kissing. Which I think that they should do away with, what they should ban, Valentine's Day. If they're not going to have anything about kissing or sex, why are they starting it with Valentine's Day? In grade school, no less. Teaching those little babies about kissing and holding hands and giving Valentine's cards and all that crap. This is the side of which, Nikki, you have not seen. But you get me pissed off by banning books. Yeah. The book released in 2013 was the subject of 5 bans during 2021-2022 school year. The story inspired real-life events, is about 2 boys set out to break a world record by kissing for 32 hours straight. I wouldn't want to read a book about a boy and a girl kissing for that long. Or a man and a woman, or 2 dogs, or 2 cats, or 2 anything kissing for 32 hours straight. No, not interested. But still, if other people want to read about that, that's fine. I have no problem with it, really. Just not my kind of book. 46, How to Be an Antichrist by Ibram X. Kendi. Nonfiction book by Ibram X. Kendi. So it's a non-fictional book. That means it's, not fiction. When it came out in 2019, it was on school ban list 5 times over the previous school years. It's part memoir and part social commentary on racism and ethnicity. 45, I Am Jazz by Jazz Jennings and Jessica Hertel. Soon as Jazz Jennings could speak, she told her parents that she was a girl despite having been assigned male at birth. She became a spokesperson for trans children and co-wrote a book entitled I Am Jazz about her experience. It was banned in 5 separate occasions during the past school year. She's pictured here with her parents, Greg and Jeanette, along with her brother, Sanders, and GLAAD Media Awards 2019. Well, I'm sorry, but okay, so she's here with her, who did it say? With her parents, Greg and Jeanette, along with her brother, Sanders. Oh, okay. So I guess that's her in the long dress right here. Well, she's very beautiful. Just leave her alone. Read the book or don't. Basically, other people have a right to read it. Read it or don't. That's it. I would read it. It sounds like it would be interesting. We Are the Ants by Sean David Hutchinson. We Are the Ants. Science fiction novel follows Henry, whose boyfriend has died by suicide. Well, you know what? That's a big thing right there, is suicide and death. People out here don't want to hear about that. Me personally, I have known 22 people to have committed suicide in my lifetime. I'm 63. You do the math. Anyways, if you don't want to hear about death, don't pick up a book that's going to have death in it. If you don't want to watch a movie, don't watch a movie that's going to have death in it. We Are the Ants, subjected to 5 book bans, 2021 to 22 school year, despite having been on the multiple best of list. There's not really telling what these stories are about, but you can only just guess. Okay, it's like science fiction novel follows Henry, whose boyfriend has died by suicide. Killing Mr. Griffin by Lois Duncan. This suspense novel, published in 1978, is about teenagers kidnapping, murdering their strict teacher. Ha! No wonder they banned that book. Ha ha ha! These themes caused the book to go through 5 bans over the course of previous school year. Oh my God. The mayhem that would implode over all the schools if kids got their greedy little hands on books like that. Woo! Ha! I want to read that book now too. Duncan pictured here was credited with helping to pioneer horror and suspense for teens. Well, hey, why not? Lucky by Alice Sebold. Alice Sebold, known for her famous bestseller, The Lovely Bones, saw her memoir, Lucky, pulled from the school bookshelf 6 times through 21-22 school year because of a graphic description of the rape she survived in college. Being that I am a survivor of 4 rapes, and I don't tell all the details to everybody, I have not yet written a book about them, I could kind of see that we might not need to have a book with details of a rape. The word rape is bad enough as it is. That's my opinion. I'm sticking to it. Blah, 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 blah. Skipping on to 41. The Truth About Alice by Jennifer Mathau. Okay. Discusses the slut shaming among teenagers. The work was part of 6 book bans in the previous school year. The book was released in 2014. Uh-oh. Sorry about that. Let me jump right back. I have no real opinion about that. Although, we all go through that, don't we? I don't think the book should be banned. I have not read it, but there's no big deal there. It's something that's dealt with in real life. So if something's dealt with in real life, it could and should be in a novel, whether it's nonfiction or fictional. Real life, number 40, real life boyfriends. Yes, boyfriends, plural. If my life weren't complicated, I wouldn't be Ruby Oliver by E. Lockhart. Okay. The 4th novel of author E. Lockhart's Ruby Oliver Quartet is the most controversial thanks to sexual content and slut shaming. It was part of a school book ban 6 times in 21-22. Well, once again, if you don't like a book's cover, don't jump into it. What the heck? But it should still be out there on the shelves for anybody else who wants to read it. The Bible's out there, and I don't want to read it. It's a black book. It's very, how should I say? It's a very negative book. There's killing, there's slut shaming. There's all kinds of stuff in that book that you just wouldn't want to read. There's death, there's dying, there's incest, there's all kinds of crap going on in there. So why do you want to read it? Let's go on, because we're like just into the 30s. 39. Almost Perfect by Brian Catcher. Actually, some of these books now are sounding like they should be in libraries and bookstores only. But if your kid's adult enough to read it, then you can let them read it at home or wherever. They just don't want the kids coming to school, with pants that are too tight, if you know what I mean. An all-American high schooler named Logan develops a crush on a trans queen named Sage. Many among the top 50 banned books deal with issues of sexual orientation and gender identity, including this one, which is part of a ban of 6 times between the school year 21-22. Being Jazz, My Life as a Transgender Teen by Jazz Jennings. Oh, another book that she wrote. Well, Good for you. And if you want to read a book about like that, because it's supportive, and a lot of teens are going through that, that's when they start to really identify with, who they really are. Because here's how it goes. You're born and you're told by a doctor and your parents that you're a boy or a girl. That's it. They give you no other options, no other choices. You're either a boy or a girl. You got pink shit or you got blue shit when you were born, and that's that. And so now people are coming out of hiding and putting forward their stories so that other children who are going through this, going through puberty, wondering and having some kind of questions and stuff like that, because their parents don't want to talk about it. So here she is, Jazz Jennings, and she's talking about it. Good for her. Really, serious. 37, Speak by Lorraine Halsey Anderson. Sorry if I'm getting the names wrong. I'm just trying to sound them out how they look to me. A girl named Melinda is raped, calls the police, and then ostracized, causing her to develop selective mutinism. The story is based on Anderson's own life. Okay, I could understand them banning this and any book that has anything to do with rape. Rape happens, but we don't have to talk about all the details because they could be triggering to other people. If you want to read this book on your own, in your own home, wherever, in a library or wherever, go for it. But like I said, I've survived 4. I don't write a book with all the details of every single one. Nobody wants to hear that. They really don't. If they do, you have to kind of think, are they perverted? Do they want to hear the details of somebody else's rape? Really? Yes, I'm supportive of people who have gone through that. I just said I've lived through 4, possibly more. Most of them, all of them were blacked out of my memories during the times that they were happening. And then they just came bursting through my mind and out of the closet or whatever. Okay, so this is not about me, but you know what? It's one thing to write about your stuff and keep it in a journal and write it out, but putting it out there at schools, probably not. Probably not a really good idea. Dear Martin by Nick Stone, 36. A black high school student who suffers a dangerous encounter with white police officers writes to the late Martin Luther King asking him what he should do. Stone stated that she began writing 2017 book as a response to deaths of Jordan Davis and Michael Brown. It received 7 bans in schools in the past year. She has been here speaking at the Drum Major for Justice luncheon in 2022. I think this book does need to be read and addressed and talked about by everybody, anybody, by schools, out of schools, wherever. I'm so cold today. I had to have another coffee. 35. We're only on 35, folks. I'm trying to get through this, honest. The 57 Bus, a true story of 2 teenagers and the crime that changed their lives by Dashka Slater. Okay. 2 teenagers, one white and transgender, the other black high school student named Richard with a tragic past, ride the same bus home each day. Due to frank discussions about gender identity, criminal justice system, and race-based content, the book was part of 7 bans in classrooms or libraries over the past school year. God forbid we notice that there are other races in the world. That's all I'm saying. 34, Sold by Patricia McCormick. A girl from Nepal is sold into sexual slavery. Okay, once again, do not think that this should be in under high school. This does not sound like even a middle high school type book for those kids to read. I would not think I would want my granddaughter, who's 13, to read this book. But if she wanted to, if she saw it in a bookstore and she said, wow, this sounds like something I'd like to read, I'd be the first one to buy it for her. Okay, 33, Court of Mist and Fury. Sarah J. Maas. A Court of Mist and Fury is a second in Sarah J. Maas, A Court in Thorns, The Roses fantasy series. Due to sexual content, the book is found itself subject to 7 book bans over the past school year. Well, what do they think is sexual content? That's my question. What's going on in these books? They make it sound like they're some kind of little porno books. My dad used to have on the shelf in his room and in the garage these little paperback porno books. So you can't mention sex, but they've had sex ed in 5th grade. Get over it. Monday's Not Coming by Tiffany D. Jackson. Okay, a Black teenager girl goes missing and her disappearance is never investigated. The book is based on real-life missing Black girl who failed to receive attention from media or police. Due to its intense discussions about racism, justice, and poverty, God forbid any of the kids who are living in neighborhoods and households and go through all of that should ever have to read a novel about somebody else who has also gone through that kind of stuff. Pulled from the classroom or second library shelves. What about West Side Story? What about The Outsiders? It is perfectly normal changing bodies growing up. Sex and Sexual Health by Robbie Harris. That sounds like a normal kind of a book that you would want teenagers to be reading. 31. But God forbid we teach them about their bodies and their sexual urges that are popping up now all over the place. You know, you can't just tell them, keep it in your pants. You can't. You have to explain to them what's happening. You have to explain to them about respect and dignity. Robbie Harris' frank children's book about puberty and sex was first published in 1994 and had scientifically accurate information and pictures, which caused a lot of uproar. Oh my God! When it was initially published, the book continues to receive regular publishing updates to reflect new information It is on the school ban list 7 times, 21-22 school year. Some parents appreciate the book. Here, Mother Stephanie Baptist reads to her 8-year-old daughter. The book is part of her daughter's school curriculum in Toronto. Yay for them. And why aren't we doing that here? Because we just want teenagers to go out in the car or in the back of an alley or behind a bush somewhere and screw around, and then 12 months later not be able to get an abortion in the second place. Jesus effing Christ, I swear. I almost forgot. I'm reading this for a video, so I have to watch my language. Extremely Loud and Incredibly Close by Jonathan Safran Foer. Jonathan Safran Foer's 2005 book, which was turned into a major film in 2012. It's one of the most influential of the 21st century, but hasn't stopped it from getting banned frequently from school libraries, including in 7 instances in the past school year alone. The book deals with the theme of death, trauma, and grief in the wake of September 11 terrorist attack. What the hell? Why are we keeping this out of schools? This is something people have lived through, and you want to hide it from schools. You want to hide it from the kids of today. Bullshit. 29. More Happy Than Not by Adam Silvera. The book, More Happy Than Not, deals with LGBTQ themes as well as suicide, depression, and teen pregnancy. Because of this, it was banned in schools on 8 separate instances, 21-22 school year. Here, author Adam Silvera speaks on stage of the Audie Edwards Gala, March 2022. Once again, homophobic people need to learn about this stuff. Tricks by Ellen Hopkins. Ellen Hopkins is known for her gritty, realistic fiction of her book Tricks. No Different. It follows the paths of 5 teenagers, deals with drug usage and sexually explicit content. Oh my God. The book was published in 2009 and has regularly shown up in the ban list in schools district since then. It was subject to book bans 8 times in the past school year. Oh my God. 27. The Perks of Being a Wallflower by Stephen Chbosky. The book is considered somewhat controversial of portrayal of sexual drugs and suicide content. Yes, we do not want children knowing anything about the reality of life. 26. All American Boys by Jason Reynolds and Brendan Kiley. Jason Reynolds pictured here and Brendan Kiley were sharing a hotel room when they heard that George Zimmerman had been acquitted for the murder of Trayvon Martin. They shared their frustration and eventually decided to write a book together. And why is this book being banned? The book talks about 2 black boys navigating hurdles of police brutality and racism while growing up in poverty because of its explicit racial content and depiction of law enforcement. Well, they're only writing what they see from their opinion of the truth in their opinions. 19 Minutes by Jodi Picoult. 19 Minutes tells the unfolding tale of school shooting. Okay, well, I think that could be very informative for a lot. Since today, I heard that there was a shooting at a religious Christian school in Nashville, Tennessee. Let's see how those gun toters over there like that. 24. The Breakaways by Kathy G. Johnson. Bad at soccer. Okay. Be friends. This graphic novel tells a story of Okay, well, it's a graphic novel, for God's sakes. We ought to have a graphic novel at school. The graphic novel tells the story of a girls' soccer team. School districts have banned it for its depiction of trans kids, sexual content, discussion of Black Lives Matter. Oh, we should not be discussing Black Lives Matter, right? Jesus Christ. 23. We're getting there. Fun Home. A family tragic comedy by Alison Bechdel. Comic style illustration served as a memoir of her life growing up with a closeted gay father. She herself came out as a lesbian after his death. It was adapted as a musical in 2013. 22. The Handmaid's Tale by Margaret Atwood. I believe this has been a series on Netflix, has it not? So your children are going to be watching it. Patriarchal, blah, blah, blah. 1985, TV series. Controversial, removed from the classroom 9 times. Unburnable version. A special unburnable version of Margaret Atwood's famous book, seen here, was auctioned off in June 2022 to support PEN America and its goal to fight censorship. But unburnable. I gotta see this. The unburnable book. So they tried to burn it and it wouldn't burn. Oh, yeah. Whew. 21. Jack of Hearts and Other Parts by L.C. Rosen. Jack of Hearts and Other Parts is a book of sexually active queer teen who starts a sex column at his school. Rosen specializes in writing content for LGBTQ teens due to the content of sexual nature, despite the fact that there is no sex scenes in the book. What? There are 10 book bans for this over the past school year. They have no sex scenes. Just talking about it. 20. Flamer by Mike Curato. This 2020 book from Mike Curato is a semi-autobiographical graphic novel based on his experience growing up as a gay Catholic boy, struggling to suppress his feelings and act more masculine in front of other boys. Some people have criticized the book's discussion of LGBTQ content, but then it won the Lambda Literary Award in 2021, while also being banned in schools on 10 different occasions. So far, well, it seems like a lot of gay-themed books are being banned by homophobic people who are clutching their Bibles. And you know that they must be reading those Bibles every single freaking day, not just carrying them to church, not just holding their Bibles in their laps at church and then going home and kicking the dog and having an affair with a neighbor or possibly doing other pedophilic type things. Disgusting. 19, drama, a graphic novel by Raina Telegamir. Telomere stands here in front of a display for books, drama. A graphic novel tells the story of a middle school girl navigating crushes and friendships due to the fact that it portrays a same-sex crush. It is on the ban list 11 times, 2021, 2022. We're just not going to be able to get it very well anywhere in this world. We're not going to be able to move ahead. We're just going to go back in history to where all of this bigotry bullshit was going on. Those closed-minded Neanderthal people, so close-minded throughout history because they have not changed. They don't change. They don't change. They don't change. 18, This One Summer by Julian Tamaka and Markio Tamaka. Two teen girls start to get interested in boys and learn more about the adults around them based on some sexual content and mental health issues. God forbid we hear about any of those. Sorry. As well as deception of a pregnant teenager. There were 11 separate school bans of the graphic novel in the past school year. Okay. Beloved, 17, by Toni Morrison. Toni Morrison's 1987 novel was inspired by a tragic real-life story of a person fleeing slavery in Kentucky with the 1850s and the dramatic choices she made when she was caught. It's a violent and graphic scenes that were cited by reasons why, subject to 11 book bans in school of the past year. Morrison, a Nobel and Pulitzer Prize winner, seen here, died in 2019. Beyond Magenta, Transgender Speaks Out by Susan Kuklin. Beyond Magenta, a transgender teen speaks out. Story chronicles 6 real-life trans teens and young adults. Kuklin interviewed each of them before, during, and after transition and formed all of the interviews into one cohesive narrative. The book is accused of being anti-family and sexually explicit. No, it's not. You know what? It's just like the sexual educational books that are binary. This one is thinking outside the box. It's non-binary, thinking outside the box of the binary. And I don't care what you and your Bible say. There are going to be children who are going to be given their sexual identity by what the doctor sees between their legs when they're born. And then for the rest of their life, because there's bigots in this world, are going to be told that that's what they have to be. No, sorry. Does not work that way. The book was accused of being anti-family and anti-sexual and sexually explicit, and is regularly on the book ban list since its release in 21-22 school year. It was pulled from the classroom or school library bookshelves 11 times. What bullshit is that? I'm pretty sure you can get it in bookstores or online or libraries. 15. Looking for Alaska by John Green. What? Looking for Alaska is known for his young adult novels, which have been received by critics and fans. Looking for Alaska is considered the most controversial. Is banned 11 times in school since 2021. Parents are concerned about the profanity, sexual explicit scenes in the book. It follows a group of friends dealing with death and one of their own. God. 14. We're getting down there. Almost an hour. Melissa George by Alex Gino. The book depicts fourth grade trans girl trying to get her parents to understand her transition, playing Charlotte in Charlotte's Web school play, even when she is perceived as a boy. The story is controversial and in conservative schools 11 times. This book is Gay by Juno Dawson. This is 13. Again, of course, is a nonfiction book, talks about being gay, lesbian, gender, bisexual, intersexual, asexual, queer, or even being curious. It includes stories, interviews, and more from kids, teens, adults across the LGBTQ plus spectrum. Dawson considers it a manual for life as an LGBTQ person due to the parents considered sexually explicit. Banned from the schools over how many times? 11 times. Oh, okay. I was kind of stumped here because I was like, what? Look at Later Gator by Lauren Miracle. The first two, Talk to You Later and Ta-Ta for Now, aren't considered as controversial instant messages. But 2007, Later Gator was banned due to the sexual content and profanity used as emojis. Internet shorthand are prevalent throughout the novel. My God. 11, The Kite Runner by Khaled Hosseini. Story about two boys growing up in Afghanistan against the backdrop of Soviet invasion, exodus of the refugees to Pakistan, and raise the Taliban. Blah, 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 12 times. Crank, 10. Crank by Ellen Hopkins. The story is loosely based on Hopkins' own daughter, who has also developed addiction to crystal meth. Well, how are kids going to know? They need to know about stuff like that. 13 Reasons Why by Jay Asher. Girl named Hannah leaves behind 7 cassette tapes dealing with why 13 specific people and events, death, suicide. Okay, I've seen this in a movie, and it was actually a series, and it was very, very good. Me and Earl and the Dying Girl, Jesse Andrews, or Jess Andrews, 2 high school friends befriend a girl named Rachel who has acute mesenchymal leukemia. Depictions of death, drug use, sexual content, banned 14 times, blah, blah, blah. Once again, let's not talk about death. Let's not talk about the pressures and what depression brings on from being given a diagnosis like that. Number 7, The Absolutely True Diary of a Part-Time Indian by Sherman Alexie. Ooh, I know that. I know this person. Not personally, but I've read other books. Sherman Alexie's book was subjected to school ban 16 times during 21-22 school year. It was released in 2007, and it's been controversial then due to subject matter, which deals with poverty, sexuality, bullying, alcohol usage, profanity, and use of slurs. Why? Because indigenous people shouldn't be learning and reading about stuff like this when we live in it. The novel is seemingly autobiographical, based on Native American authors' life, and won National Book Award in 2007. Alexie has been seen here on a Live Wire radio show in 2009. 6, The Hate U Give by Angie Thomas. Seen here in 2019, Massachusetts Conference for Women, released in 2017. After effects of a Black girl who attends a predominantly white elite private school. Yes, if you're Black and you're going to a white school, you should not be talking about it. God. Because, God forbid, another Black child goes to a predominantly white school and is, forced into all of that stuff. 5, The Lawn Boy by Jonathan Evison. The Lawn Boy, after it was published, semi-autobiography about a boy facing hardships and learning to overcome it. Yeah, we should not learn how to overcome our hardships. Homoerotic content, because the character recalls a same-sex encounter from his youth, and is ultimately part of 17 book bans. Oh my God, people need to get over their Bible. 4, The Bluest Eye by Toni Morrison. 1970 novel by Toni Morrison has been immense. 2007 photo shows a dressed rehearsal of a stage version of The Bluest Eyes in San Francisco. The novel follows a Black girl who believes she's ugly and would be more beautiful if she only had blue eyes. Its subject matter contains elements of children molestation, sexual assault, drunkenness, racism, incest, and all of which are banned on 22 separate occasions. A lot of that sounds like stuff I've read in the Bible. 3. Out of the Darkness by Ashley Hopi Perez. Out of the Darkness. Mexican-American Girl, Black Boy in the 30s. The book was the subject of many parental complaints stemming from sexual explicit content, violence, portrayal of racism, experience of the main characters 24 times. Jesus Christ. 2. All Boys Aren't Blue by George M. Johnson. Queer activist George Johnson, All Boys Are Blue, 2020, described a memoir, manifesto. The book is compilation of essays describing authors' experience growing up a queer Black kid in New Jersey, written specifically for other queer Black kids. Okay. Number 1. Genderqueer, a memoir by Maya Kobabe. Genderqueer, a memoir, was removed from school libraries, of course. Classroom bookshelves, 41 separate instances, according to PEN America. Kobabe Wright is seen being interviewed by Kathleen Bretchenbach. Political prose, memoir, sexuality, explicit. Okay, well, first of all, this list is nothing like the other list that I saw. So, but I'm going to do another video on that one, because I actually saw a list that had banned Charlotte's Web. Why? Because the animals were talking and it dealt with death. That wasn't in here, but so I'm going to look for a different list. I think these are crazy times, because this happened 2022, the school year 2021 to 2022. And just recently, my granddaughter last year had to read The Outsiders to make a report, which I loved. I love that book. But you see how far back they had to reach for it to get a book that was okay to be reading in the school? And why was it? There was a little bit of, bad language, some violence, smoking, tobacco, drinking, stuff like that, a fire, death, all of that stuff. But that book, has it been banned? I don't know. Well, we'll see you next time. This is Witch Nikki. Thanks for listening.